Hustle Boss TV here, the F.A.B Boxing Show. I was wanting to talk about, there's a big debate going on. Everybody's kind of talking about who should be the fighter of the decade, 2010, 2019. The names that stand out, Andre Ward, Vladimir Klitschko, Floyd Mayweather, Canelo, Manny Pacquiao, Gennady Golovkin. Some say maybe Roman Gonzalez even. Who do you guys think should be the fighter of the decade?
Wait, first off, let's introduce our guest. We have our first guest,
Absolutely.
on this podcast. I'm gonna let you go ahead and do it, Chris. You go ahead and run it.
Okay.
Chris knows the introductions.
Got my man how do you pronounce it?
Dario Berdician.
Dario Berdician, still undefeated. Big fan of you. Remember since 2012 out in Las Vegas. Give a breakdown of introduce yourself real quick.
Been boxing for a bit over like 12 years now. Short amateur career. I'm a professional now with 18 fights, 17 wins, 0 losses, 1 draw. Fought for titles for a title among IBF Intercontinental, and was stationed everywhere in Europe, Vegas at some point, Montreal. That's actually where I met Chris. Was out in Vegas at Floyd's gym. So it's been a while, man. Yep, been doing it for a bit.
And my guys, Marcus and Devin, feel free to introduce yourselves as well.
Marcus Willis, Fort Myers native. I had over 125 amateur fights, ranked number 2 in the nation back in 04, from 04 to 08, ranked in the top 10. 26 professional fights, 17 4-2. Been on ESPN, Showtime, Undercards, HBO, pay-per-view, and Telemundo.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And I'm Devin Jackson. You guys know me. I stalk the hell out of these fighters.
We call him the doc.
It's my job to know everything.
The boxing PI.
Yeah. I've trained one fighter when I was in California. I was relatively new to boxing, with being hands-on. And I ran into a fighter named Lamont Williams. Trained him. We went out to LA, had a tough fight with Israel Duffus. At the time, I think Israel was undefeated, 6-0 with 5 knockouts. And my guy, he went to work. It was tough, but he got the knockout. Crazy experience.
Good stuff. Now, have you guys been paying attention to all this talk about who is the fighter of the decade? I read off the list. What do you guys think about that? And everybody talking about it, who would you favor?
You know what? Like, these subjects are they're all in perspective and subjective and everything, but they are an entertaining topic, about everybody's work ethic. Everybody's resume throughout the decade. First off, I'm going to say for me personally that my fighter of the decade, and this is the first time I even thought about it because I don't like debate about it, but would probably be Andre Ward for me. I thought what he did at the Super 6 tournament was impressive. It was the first showing out, and he was not one of the big guys that was picked to win either. And you know how tournaments are, a lot like amateurs. You don't get to choose who you fight afterwards. You fight winner.
True
And that's what it is, especially if you're coming up on the pyramid. So him being relatively an underdog along with Andre Durrell, and I think his name was Green, but he wasn't in it that much. Alan Green. But the resume and the wins he racked up in the tournament, that was the best available super middleweights at the time. And ever since super middleweight became a weight class not too long ago, it's always been a stacked division. Mm-hmm. And those were the readily, but out of bias, I'll say that the only one that was kind of left out was.
Because you're in that weight class.
No, that too. But out of bias, I'll also say that the only person they left out of that tournament was Lucien Bute because he had the IBF title, and I think he defended it for like 7 years going and everything. That was the only person they left out. But everybody else readily available, all those champions, Froch, Mikhail Kessler, Arthur Abraham, Durrell, those were like the best super middleweight. But that's just at that point of his career. And then what he did afterwards, even with the layoff, he took no easy fights, no small guys, like Floyd. I think Floyd's still the best, but as a resume of 10 years of what's been going on, I would say Andre Ward was real more impressive because when Floyd had the layoff and then he came back after Ricky Hatton, he fought a guy smaller than him, and I don't discredit him for that. But Andre Ward, his comeback fight, he went up in weight, and I think he fought Sullivan Barrera, maybe somebody else before that. It was either Smith or Sullivan.
Alexander Brand, he fought Smith.
It was a Brand, and then afterwards it was Sullivan Barrera, and I think after was Smith. But those were tough guys, and he looked phenomenal. No rust. He was very sharp, very focused, So to me, I thought he has the most impressive, and I think the hardest resume that I think he racked up for the decade.
That is a hell of a pick. I didn't even think of Andre Ward, and just like his career, he kind of got overlooked a lot too. So, but that is a solid pick.
I've thought about Andre Ward, but Pacquiao always comes to mind. Like, he's been overlooked for fighter of the decade for quite some time. I mean,
and he would what we say. I think he had a legendary decade.
Right.
I mean, that guy.
Because he's had his ups and downs.
That's the stuff of when did he fought De La Hoya in 2009, or was it 2010 already?
It was 2009, right?
It was like 2009.
09, yeah.
So we started it, but even after that, his career was like the stuff. I mean, he took any readily available fights for well as him. And that's when he was already stationed at 47. So we were just shy of him moving up all those weight classes as well. But Manny Pacquiao, that's what you could say about his decade.
Yeah, Pacquiao's my pick too. Like we discussed this before, and I said Pacquiao's the only fighter that we're discussing in this fighter of the decade that has moved multiple weight classes, 5-6 weight classes, and has dominated. And not only did he compete with guys that was bigger than him. Mm-hmm. Towards the end of his career, and it's not over. He's competing with guys that are younger than him too. So he's out fighting the bigger guys. That's naturally bigger than him, and doing it with just phenomenal. And then he's outclassing these younger guys that are coming up too. So
I think we missed the boat on Floyd's decade because he already racked up another legendary resume, beating the likes of Corrales, beating Ricky Hatton and Floyd. That was before the decade started. So, I mean, he kind of already, sealed his legacy back then, and we kind of just missed the boat. And then everything else was kind of more novelty fights, but a lot of fights that we wanted to see as well. We did want to see him against Shane Mosley. We wanted to see him way before. It was a little bit late, but that's a fight we wanted to see before. Obviously, the Manny Pacquiao fight, like 5 years too behind us. So there were fights that we wanted to see. I think, was it Margarito ever at 47?
Yeah, people were talking about that. They never fought. So.
And then I think they were talking about Paul Williams too, but I think he was also maybe a little bit. I don't know if he was already at 54 and everything, and Floyd, I think we kind of maybe for the decade was kind of missed the boat of his career because his legacy, I think when we're gonna remember is kind of like ending of Pretty Boy Floyd and then the birth of Money Mayweather. That came around the end of the decade.
But some people say Mayweather. A lot of people go with Mayweather for fighter of the decade, and the big reason they're basing it is because he beat two guys on that list, Canelo and Pacquiao. How much should he get credit for those two victories?
I think he should get a lot of credit. I think the problem with Floyd is we want to see real adversity. And
Floyd gets a lot of backlash for kind of picking and choosing his fights, and
but he fights them.
Yeah,
eventually
he does eventually. So it kind of like back in the day when we talked about the '80s, those fighters, they fought the best fighters regardless of what time it was.
Right.
They didn't wait to if the money was right or if the business was right. They fought because it was the best. It was the best. Top, it was the top four guys in the weight class, so they fought. You had Sugar Ray and Duran and Hagler and Hearns. They all fought each other at the time they're supposed to fight each other. So that's what kind of takes away from Floyd being he still has a hell of a legacy, but it just diminishes it a little bit.
Yeah, he didn't fight them when they were hot.
I think that was the main factor about 2010 all the way to 2019 was money was a big factor. It wasn't like what you pointed out in the 80s and all that stuff. You still, the chances you would take for the amount of money that you could take, even if it's for little chances, I think that's what he was doing afterwards. I mean, he sealed himself, like I said, before this decade in 2010 started, and then everything else was mainly based on money. I don't think he was trying to worry about impressing us or kind of. He did what he had to do. He was already moving up all those weight classes, wipe guys out like Hatton and Corrales and all that stuff. So I don't think it was a big deal, but I think afterwards it was a big thing about money, and I think he wasn't really too pressed on. If he knew people were going to come and watch him, whether it was to lose or win, that was the main focus on him. I think he was kind of like not worried too much about these meaningful fights. Not that he did not have meaningful fights, but there were a lot of novelty fights that were kind of maybe too late, or it was in the environment where his opponents were not comfortable. Canelo dropping weight at 152, where it was 150. And again, Canelo put himself in that environment. And it's the same thing with Manny Pacquiao kind of waiting too long to kind of comply with, Floyd's wishes. I mean, it was kind of coming off of Floyd not
that was
trying.
On both sides.
It was on both sides, and Floyd kind of created a new I guess this
Floyd
type.
created the business of boxing.
Yeah,
Yeah, he did.
But
He
he
really
also
did.
created the whole business of anti-doping. He really started that.
Yeah.
He was kind of the pioneer of that, and it was kind of like, why are we using your jurisdiction and all that stuff? But if Manny kind of, not that it's Manny's fault, but maybe if they really wanted to fight at Manny's prime or whatever, even if we can call that Manny had a prime, Manny could be prime right now. We don't know, but it's kind of what their opponents put themselves in the environment too, because they wanted the money as well.
Now, with Manny Pacquiao, the ones picking Pacquiao, it's really surprising to see him. He's probably the one who closed the strongest in some ways, beating Broner and Thurman. I mean, how big were those victories and maybe kind of taking him over the top for your prediction? And did you even think he would beat Thurman?
Man, they're solid. I mean, Broner had the possibility of beating Manny, but you never know what Adrian Broner is going to show up to the table. So that's it's a toss up. But with an older Pacquiao, just
Pacquiao looks like
land,
a lot of these young guys.
He got a landslide victory against Broner. He embarrassed him. That definitely put more on his legacy. And then a lot of people, I didn't think that he would beat Thurman. And just watching the training camps leading up to the fight, I was like, yeah, Pacquiao's gonna get him. And just the way that he did it, it definitely, it put some solidity on what he's done, what his career is.
Right.
Durability on young, confident fighters, not fighters that were looking for a paycheck. I mean, you could say a little bit for Broner, but young, confident fighters. Right. That's what it was. Strong fighters coming in there to win. I think that really labels Manny Pacquiao his inconsistency of focus. I mean, of having clearly almost 70 fights are over, and having the durability and consistency of focus to be able to tower over young, confident fighters.
He's been in some wars too.
Yeah,
a lot of them early on too.
Yeah.
Now, what do you guys think about Canelo's case for fighter of the decade? Because he won titles in 4 weight classes, and he had the loss to Floyd, but he bounced back from that, and he's still adding. Even if you don't pick him, what do you think of just where he stands?
I think Canelo's still young, so he came in towards the middle of the decade, and he was 22, 23 when he fought.
23 when he fought Floyd.
Floyd. So he was a young fighter, so he stacked it up now. So next decade, or this decade that we're in now, he's already done what he needs to do to solidify being the fighter of the decade as long as he wants to stick around. But I think just being that young fighter, and not having as much stacked on his career that Manny Pacquiao or Andre Ward or Floyd would have, kind of leaves him out of it. But he's definitely done a lot.
He's 28 as well. I mean, this very well could be his decade. The one we're starting right now. He's 28 and he's racked up some great victories. But there's many more that can be coming, and this could be his decade starting right now at 28, 27, 28, 29. I think his age is.
Once those guys from the last generation kind of pass over, he'll have his time.
Being the cash cow and everything.
If you compare the other guys who are in their 20s, they have nothing on their resume compared to Canelo. So it'll definitely be his next.
Maybe he'll get some rollover minutes.
Yeah.
Run into next decade.
Let's talk about the decade coming up. Like, who are going to be the guys who lead the next, maybe 5-6 fighters you're really looking forward to carry boxing in these coming 2020 years?
Teofimo Lopez.
Yep, that's definitely my top, Teofimo.
Now, anyway.
We got all those young guys over there, those guys in their early 20s, Devin Haney. Gervonta Davis, Teofimo, Ryan Garcia.
Terrence Crawford is the man right now.
Terrence Crawford is the man. He's younger enough and he hasn't taken enough punishment to where he could be long-lasting like the likes of Andre Ward and Floyd. But definitely.
I think Tank might possibly fall off from that list if he's not careful, and it'll be his own doing.
Only because I think he knows how talented he is, and I think he's been falling off ever since a little bit, especially going up in weight and then still missing, we all like to call like the whole next Broner, the Broner effect, this and that, but Broner was very talented at 130 and 135. He was an absolute beast. And I think he thought that this talent was going to carry him over all the way to 47.
Right.
Just like I think maybe Tank might be overlooking his opponents at what would he go in 135 now, And I think because of how talented he was, being the likes of Pedraza and everything, it's not like a, you know, the whole Broner effect. It's just the mindset of that you
Yeah.
know you're very talented, and these other guys like Teofimo and all that stuff who are also, but they are hard workers, and they know whatever they lack in, you know, they're concentrating and working hard to kind of compensate for it.
I think it's just a combination of, you know, having that superstar mentality, or coming from, you know, where he's from and everything, and having that, like, he had that work ethic, but once he got, you know, that fame, that money, it messed him up, you know. So it's a product of, you know, being a little ignorant and arrogant, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Personally, for me though, I think the one that's going to sneak up, just like his boss was the one that snuck up, is going to be Shakur Stevenson.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you,
I like
the school you come from when you got. Did you guys watch the fights over the weekend with Clarissa Shields and did you guys see every time, all the time, Andre Ward was leaning over to Shakur? Everything.
in
They
his
were
ear
just
all the
talking. They
time.
were just chopping up, but they were talking all the time. And Shakur's nodding his head. He's getting, you know, like
Taking it in.
all the time. Andre Ward is saying something to him, leaning over, saying something. I mean, when you have a boss like that, or, you know, or a mentor or whatever, coming from that school like Andre Ward did, and if Shakur, which he looks like he's doing a pretty good job, he's not taking it too fast, everything is doing the right moves, he's still taking the tough fights and everything. I'm telling you, that's another guy that's going to sneak under the radar and come out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's
That's
being
another one.
groomed by the best.
That's it. The mentality of somebody like Andre Ward to come up like that. You can have all the skills, you can do whatever, but that type of mindset you're coming from, I think that's going to be very, very special for him.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, I also want to talk to you about doing some of these boxing tutorials. Like, it's always interesting asking people, like, maybe their first day in the gym, you know, like why they got into boxing. If you could each take me back to your roots of it, how did this great sport, you know, kind of come to each of yours lives?
I grew up watching boxing. Wasn't much of a choice. It was always on TV, and I saw Roy Jones Jr. and just fell in love with it. You know, Roy is like a Superman to me. So everything was based around him, and then later got a little older, started watching guys like Sugar Shane, Oscar De La Hoya, and it just kept spreading from there.
My dad was big on combat sports. He was big on martial arts coming up, like growing up maybe around my age, like he was back in the 90s. Martial arts, kickboxing, MMA, and boxing was like very, very hot, especially him being in Chicago at the time. So he was big on it, and then him having two boys, I think naturally that's what he wanted. He didn't want to put us in football. He didn't want to put us in soccer or anything. He wanted his boys to be combat athletes, whether it was wrestling, whether it was judo or whatever, karate, you know, anything. So that had a lot to do with it. And a little bit, sometimes you have a little bit of trouble at school with, you know, either peers or you got bullies and all that stuff. And, you know, my dad says that's not going to happen. That's not going to stand for it. I'm not going to come and protect you. You got to do it yourself. So he threw us in the gym, and you know, that's kind of how it all started. But I mean, I don't think it ever starts with the love. I didn't like, I thought it was scary. I didn't want to go and get punched in the face. I thought everybody was like big. Yeah. I didn't want to, you know, everybody looked, you know, scarier and bigger than me. I don't think it starts with the love, but I think getting through it, and I think having a little bit of a push, I would say Marcus probably got the same thing from his dad, maybe got a little bit of a push, and then you kind of, you know, find a real deep love and passion into it.
You didn't have a choice, did you?
You know what? Listen, I mean, it's not that I didn't have a choice. I wanted to go. Like, even when I was young, there's pictures of me with gloves on, you know, in diapers. So, you know, it was my dad, you know, he boxed when he was younger. He, you know, used to get beat up by a girl in middle school and everything. So she was a neighborhood bully and used to beat his ass when they were younger. And, you know, he took up boxing around then. And it just became a family. It became a family tradition. You know, my oldest brothers boxed, so we grew up in the gym. So I was going to the gym, you know, in diapers and everything. There's pictures with my dad in the ring with me. You know, I wasn't even walking at the time, so I kind of grew up around it. So it just became second nature. I was probably throwing punches before I was walking. So
Vicious.
but you know, I don't remember my first day in the gym because I was in there since I was a kid. But, you know, I loved it. Like, I would beg my dad to go. Like, sometimes I would get whoopings because I wanted to go too much, you know. So
You're annoying the whole family. Everybody want to eat dinner. Everybody wants to go shadow boxing.
Anything else? Any fights coming up? Anything been catching your eye lately in the boxing world?
I'm real hot on the Tyson Fury and the Deontay Wilder fight.
I just saw the press conference yesterday.
Yeah, I
tell me
watched a little bit.
your thoughts on it. Go
For the second time around, I'll break it down. What I think Deontay is going to win by KO. I do think Deontay. People don't credit him for being a smart fighter. Maybe they don't like his technique or however he approaches whatever. I think he's a very smart, adjustable fighter. I think he's one of those guys that. Marcus, you disagree with me?
Look at his face.
You disagree with me? I think. No, hang on. I think the way look, people knock on the performance with what he did with Ortiz.
Listen,
I thought
okay,
he was very smart with Ortiz. I thought he gave up rounds because he knew he was just going to catch him, that Ortiz was going to get too confident because Ortiz was doing beautifully. Yeah. He was stepping around. He was hitting him to the body, and then he was doing all the pivots. And then eventually, it's almost like there was no worry or sense of urgency in Deontay Wilder's face. Deontay's a very, very animated champion, and for him not to have a sense of urgency, I think it showed he was very calm and confident that he was going to get his shot, because maybe he gave up 5-6 rounds, but he had 6 more to go. And there was maybe a little tweak in Ortiz's adjustment. Maybe he thought, maybe I'm going to press a little bit more. And I think that's what ended up happening. He got just like in the first fight. But the first fight, he came off aggressive. You saw Ortiz was going to steal rounds first, and then maybe he was going to break him off. I think that credits. Yeah, I think that credits Deontay's ring intelligence. I mean, yeah, listen, not a pretty fighter, but I think he's a great data collector.
I'm not going to say that I don't think that he gave up rounds. I think, honestly, or like most heavyweights out there, like with Ortiz and with Tyson, they're better boxers than Deontay. Mm-hmm. So he clearly got outboxed.
It's a two-man. It was a two-man fight,
yeah,
and
Deontay knows that he has the power, and just like you said in the fight, I can lose 11 rounds, but all it takes is one shot from me. He knows that he has that power to where he can end the fight right now. So I don't think that and he did set that knockout punch up beautifully. I got to give him that credit. He set it up nice. And did some stuff that I was like, oh, okay, maybe he's learning to box a little bit. But Deontay's still loud. He doesn't have the best boxing ability, doesn't have the best fundamentals and technique, but he has tremendous fucking power that could, just end somebody's life. And Tyson just has to avoid it. I think Fury definitely won the first fight. He got a job on decision. And if he could, just outlast and not get knocked out and avoid that right hand, he can win the fight. And that's what it comes down to, because he can definitely outbox him easy like he did last time. He embarrassed him the first fight.
It's disgusting seeing a guy have that much power where he can literally wait 8, 9, 10 rounds just for that one shot. And he knows if he lands it, you're going to go.
I mean, the thing with power punchers is that there's a lot of power punchers that still are very good at setups. Tyson, I mean, he knocked you out because he was so good at setting you up. He did a lot of setups. He was twisting, turning. He was pivoting. He was getting low. He was dipping.
You can't compare Tyson
No,
to
I'm just saying as in power punchers, like
Right.
I'm comparing to the likes of Deontay Wilder, people like Stevenson. Stevenson was another guy that did not do much setups. Yeah. He did a bit of fakes. He was doing whatever. So he did a little bit more than what Deontay's doing it. But you see people like Canelo that they break you down, or they'll do a lot of setups before they catch you with this knockout punch, just like how he did with Kirkland, how he did with Khan and all that stuff. It was all because he was kind of setting up. Deontay, especially a great example is the last fight. He did nothing to set up the knockout punch. It came at the moment. That's what it was.
No, he did set that up.
He set up, but what I'm talking, he didn't break him down.
Yeah,
there was no breakdown. I'm talking about a what's it called? A longevity, setups of longevity and everything. Yeah, he set him up because it was a right movement, but it wasn't anything like going to the body and then coming upstairs or anything switching up. I mean, the guy, he doesn't break you down first. He's got one of those lights out knockout, power.
Yeah, of course.
Golovkin is the guy. He's got to break you down here. He's got to catch you off guard.
Yeah, methodical.
He's very good.
There wasn't nothing methodical.
But people like Stevenson and Deontay Wilder are very special knockout punches.
Freaks.
Because they just Stevenson started the whole thing with the whole Badu Jack and the whole lead up. He says we got 12 rounds. I just need one punch. 36 minutes, one punch. And Deontay's the other type of guy. He's not gonna go over there. I'm gonna try and win the war of jabs first, break him to the body. It's none of that. They're just waiting for. They just need half a second,
and that's it.
36 minutes.
That is all.
That's the type of knockout puncher he is and everything. So that's what makes him so dangerous. But the only thing I do want to add, I don't know how confident Tyson Fury is in rematches. Yeah. I thought, and this is a stretch for me to say, this is absolutely me reaching. I don't think he was comfortable with the rematch with Klitschko. I think I don't know what his mindset was in, but he kind of that wasn't a part of his life where he was falling apart and everything. Yeah. I just don't think he was confident with the Klitschko fight. I think it was all maybe, I don't want to say anything like that it was convenient or anything, but I thought that he knew Klitschko is a very focused veteran. Been there before, got knocked out, or been knocked down, lost his titles, and he's won them back. He's that type of focused champion. I don't know if Tyson was 100% comfortable in that rematch.
And I don't know if Tyson was 100% sober in that rematch.
Probably no. Well, yeah, probably not. No, you're right. He was not. He was not mentally in a state where he was ready for it. But Deontay is very. I think he's very confident with rematching the people that anybody has doubts for. I think he's oozing with it, and I think he wants to prove something. More than Tyson does. Tyson just wants to kind of hang on to the fact that I won that first fight.
Right.
I was there. You saw it. I won that first fight.
Yeah, it's like, what do I have to work for
Deontay's
now?
not even worried about that first fight anymore. He wants to seal the deal, just like they were giving him Bermain Stavern or whatever, or any doubts with the Ortiz fight.
indeed.
He ain't
Yeah.
worried about the first
Yeah.
fight. He just wants to close the show, and he wants to end it all in the rematch.
end
I
all
think that's the
out.
type of. That's it. I think Tyson just I'm sorry. I just think Tyson's that guy. He just wants to hang on to look what I did the first fight. I don't know.
Right.
I know he's focused for the second fight, but I think he's a little bit too hung up on on the beautiful performance he put on.
And that's what sucks about it. You know, he didn't get the victory that he was supposed to get. So now he's gonna be like basking on like, yo, I won the first fight.
Bragging rights.
Instead of and he's gonna be focused more on what he did the first fight. You know, I won this one. I already deserve, you know, to have this title. And more hung up on that than he will be. And that's a good point. He's going to be hung up on the previous fight that he should have won instead of, you know, now what's at task now.
Whenever he fights, I always worry about his mental state. Like, where is he mentally? Like in the Ottoman. That was his name, right?
Otto Wallen. Yeah, Wallen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I worried about his mental state because that was a fraction of Tyson Fury that I'm used to seeing when he fought. So what if he shows up with that in the back of his mind of Wilder can knock me out and he performs like that? He's definitely going to sleep.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of counting on, you know, that's me kind of making the bold prediction that I think it's going to be. I'm not saying it's going to be early or late. There's no preference, but I do think that the focus and the willingness and the urgency to want to close all doubts. Second fight, I think it's more in Deontay.
Yeah.
I think you could see it in the press conference. He's very, very excited
He
about
doesn't
it.
believe he can lose. He
And
doesn't
Tyson
think
just
possible.
wants to, you know, he just kind of wants to remind everybody that he was able to clown Deontay. And I said, but you got to do it again. You got 36 minutes to do it again, you know? That's the thing.
And it has to be 36
And it
minutes.
has to be.
Right.
At any given second.
That's it. It's got to be a perfect fight. Does he
Yeah.
have that type of, you know, does he have that type of energy and mental energy to keep it fucking perfect for 36 minutes?
I think he's slipping. He
Yeah,
might not be able to do it this time.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm telling you.
Got time for one more breakdown?
Yeah, man. We're good. We got time.
We had been talking about a really interesting fight coming up, Teofimo Lopez and Vasyl Lomachenko. We'd love to get your thoughts on this.
You know what? I think I'm gonna say this is very opinionated and all that stuff. I like Lomachenko. I think he's great. I think he's fantastic. I absolutely despise his fan base. I think that, you know, they kind of they're already making him, you know,
He's a god.
He is
He's a
deserving
god
of every
of that
win
fan
and whatever
base.
it is.
Yeah.
But the fan base is a little bit kind of like almost like getting off topic, off sport, is the Conor aura type thing. It's just like it's godly, you know. Everything is like where you're on Twitter or Facebook and all that stuff. It's just like he's a fantastic fighter. Don't make me fucking hate him because of you guys fucking being assholes on Twitter and all that stuff, you know. And they're, you know, the problem I have is the fan base of him saying all the time, Gervonta Davis can't make a tweet, Devin Haney, they can't make a tweet without some nerdy ass fat guy going like, why don't you fight Lomachenko? Why are you running? It's like, it's not their fucking fault that they're 21, 22. Those are the best readily available opponents for Lomachenko right now, and it's nobody's fault. It's not the young fighter's fault. It's not Lomachenko. I think he's fantastic. My breakdown of the fight is Teofimo. Right now, I think out of the four that we kind of name is Haney, Gervonta, Garcia, and Teo. I think Teo is the most dangerous right now. I think that is Lomachenko's most dangerous fight today. I think long term, maybe if Gervonta focuses and he kind of stays, you know, on the right path, that he's going to be a danger as well. Garcia is mainly what, at 26, 30?
26.
Yeah, Garcia, 35.
Is he 35?
Yeah, he's
Okay, so he's there. So he is there.
Yeah.
He is there at 35.
Was it his last fight? Was that 35?
I thought so. I mean,
Who you talking about, Mikey?
No.
Ryan.
I'm talking about Ryan, little
Ryan
Ryan.
I can check real quick, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
But Teofimo, I think that right now that's a dangerous fight for Lomachenko, only like power wise and everything. It's an interesting fight. I haven't seen too much. We haven't seen too much of Teo. Like we haven't seen too much capabilities because he's blasting guys and he's being consistent with it. He's not like going back to Davis, blasting guys like Pedraza and then looking lackluster about an opponent you've never heard before.
Well,
kind
the
of
Japanese
like
guy, he did look a little lackluster. But
with Teo?
no, yeah, Teo.
Okay,
yeah.
we get this. Okay, and I'm also talking as a guy who hasn't seen all of Teo's fights. I'm not consistent with watching his fights.
That was the fight before Richard Comey.
Right
Yeah.
before.
His
Dude was
Yeah.
tall.
I mean, what was the guy's name?
Nakatani? Yeah.
Richard Comey,
Nakatani?
Comey or whatever.
Yeah. But no, not Comey, but the
Japanese guy.
The Japanese
Oh,
guy
okay,
that
okay,
Teo
okay.
fought. He gave Teo, work.
Okay.
And long rangy guy.
But he won by
Could block,
stoppage,
he's
didn't he?
fast. No, it went
He
decision.
went decision?
It was
Okay.
decision. Yeah, it was first. I think what was that? That was his first.
First 12
decision?
rounds.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he gave Teo some problems, and it was. I think because Teo didn't know who the guy was, or wasn't ready. Like he didn't expect this dude to come out
Right,
and
he was like
compete
6
with
foot,
him like that.
could actually
And
use
the guy
his
was
jab,
long.
he was quick.
He was long, fast, quick,
Good right hand.
and kept his range real good. And Teofimo had to work for it, and he was a little uncomfortable with it. But any fighter like that is going to give any great fighter problems.
All right, can you guys answer me this question? Vasyl Lomachenko, from what I see, it looks like at 135, he's not as effective. Maybe not to say it's too big for him or whatever, but it seems Teofimo Lopez is kind of like the bigger guy in some regards, because Lomachenko, he at 135 against Linares, Pedraza, he struggled a little bit. What do you agree, or what do you think about the size difference between these two guys?
I mean, he was just pretty much, getting rid of everybody at 130, so it wasn't, any competition. So he had to step up at 35 to get, some fights and get some competition. And I think, he's just an outclassman. He gets in there. He doesn't go in for the knockout. He goes in to put on a show. So I think he just, he puts on a great boxing, showcase. And he's not really looking for a big stoppage or anything like that. He's just showcasing his talent. So I don't think it's him being at 135 is a problem. It's just, he likes to box. With him and Teofimo is definitely the stronger fighter. He's just as fast. But you can't, take anything away from Lomachenko. He's a legend, and his footwork is amazing. He has very good ring generalship and knows how to cut angles, cut corners, and pivot. And his foot movement is top of the line. So that's going to give Teofimo a lot of problems. So Teofimo's still young, So looking at what Lomachenko has done, you can't discredit that. So it's. At first, like I said before, I was like excited that Teofimo was fighting Lomachenko and he's gonna blast him. But Lomachenko's a legend.
That's what makes it so hard. Like I see Teofimo, he's a big guy at that weight, very athletic, energetically applies himself, power. But you take a guy like Lomachenko, I've seen him in there with guys I thought was going to give him a lot of problems, and he just
dismantled him.
Yeah, he did him wrong. He did him dirty.
We just can't forget for physique-wise that Lomachenko is a short guy. He's got short arms. You don't want those guys to blow up that well. They don't adjust well to going up in weight classes like the longer guys will.
Right.
You understand? Like, people
like a Devin Haney, for example.
Like a Devin Haney or everything, and even the bigger guys like the middleweights that go up to people like Bernard Hopkins and all that stuff, they just feel a little bit better. But the guys with a little bit of a shorter physique, you don't want them to blow up too much because they kind of balloon a little bit easier than the longer guys, and speed is a factor, especially at that weight class, and especially for Lomachenko's style. And I think especially for the way that Lomachenko is supposed to be Teofimo, is he's got to be very agile. And I think doing too much, a little bit of going up, it might long-term affect him. I don't know now. I just think realistically right now Lomachenko is going to be too much for a young Teo. But I just think right now Teo is the most dangerous, readily available opponent for Loma right now.
Good stuff.
Can we just break down one more thing though?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we just break down one more thing?
We gotta get on that Barry Hunter.
Huh? That's what I wanted to get to
Yeah.
because I got a couple minutes to talk about it real quick, and I wanted to break down the Barry Hunter thing. We've all seen it.
Yeah.
We've all seen it. For people that have not seen it, go watch the. Do you remember the name? Do you remember the name of the fighter?
Franchon Cruz.
Yeah.
It was on the. It was the female fight on the undercard of Clarissa Shields.
Devin, you know.
Devin knows.
Devin
Devin,
knows
you know,
everything.
you're the encyclopedia for us. You got to figure it out for us. Just to break it down about what happened in the corner, I did not see the fight. I scrolled past it on Twitter. And
Brutal
I
fight,
was
by the
hearing,
way.
I was just hearing. I mean, I was just kind of like scrolling by, and I kept hearing about a wig or about a weave or something like that, or snatching off and all that stuff. I said, okay, I gotta watch this video. And it's a video of the fighter's name, Barry Hunter's fighter, and she's like holding onto her head at the end of the round after the bell rings, and she's sitting down waiting for the corner to come and everything, and she's just like, okay, what's going on with her and all that stuff? Because guys, I'm white, I don't really know how that shit works and all that stuff. I don't know like what she's hanging on to. I don't know how it works. And then Barry Hunter it was Barry Hunter that comes in out of nowhere, pans in from off camera, slaps his hand and say, "Take that shit off," and goes and rips a weave off this girl's hair.
That was after they took it off the first round, right? Yeah.
See, I didn't see that. I didn't see
Devin, Devin watched the whole fight.
Yeah.
You gotta break it out. You gotta let us know exactly how that happened.
So her hair, they're going at it. For one, she was fighting a girl who came all the way down from heavyweight. She came down super middleweight, big girl, and they were going at it, and her hair starts coming undone. So she goes to the corner. Barry's like, "Get that shit off her goddamn head." and he actually slapped her. I was like, "Oh shit, he just slapped her."
Everybody getting slapped this week.
I'm telling you, it's brutal.
Everybody.
So then he looks at her and says, "You want the goddamn title? You want that hair? What it's gonna be?"
Yeah,
Get
I saw that
shit off her head."
I saw that sequence, and then finally she was complying, but she was fighting. She was fighting for that weave to
they-
stay
they-
on.
They forced it off.
Yeah, they
One
forced it
dude
because
grabbed her hand.
she was
like,
"No!" Yeah, she was fighting for that weave to stay on. So I was, and then Barry kind of finally, I think the round after, whatever, got in her head that if you want the belts or you want that, if you want to worry about something else. So yeah, we had to break down, and then also the opponent that she was fighting as well.
But hold on, wait.
Yeah.
After that round, one of the commissioners or ring doctors came to put the weight back on. Barry grabbed you, "Get that shit off her head."
Yeah.
And threw it. I'm like,
Yeah.
"God damn."
It smack.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad smack. It wasn't
was
that,
just to get her
It wasn't
attention.
that little Mexican in the bar slap. It wasn't that one.
Yeah. So guys, don't think that this is just what happens in boxing. We just beating the shit out of women. Like,
Well, no,
that ain't
listen,
happening.
it's better you get woken up in the corner than
Right,
getting
and go out
slapped
there and
and
get
then
hurt.
knocked
Exactly.
unconscious in the ring because that's what, you're not going back. It's not like a timeout and then you're getting back in there and then you're going to play some basketball or whatever it is. You can get knocked unconscious.
for
So it's
real.
better you get slapped up and get awake in the corner, of course.
It wasn't that vicious.
He did a good job with it.
Yeah, he did.
I think more coaches got to be like Angel Garcia slapping the shit out of his son Danny. You see that shit like
Yeah.
in between backhand and
yeah.
front hand. I mean, like literally, gives him a whole sequence and a half.
Was he Puerto Rican?
Yeah, Puerto
That's that
Rican,
shit
yeah.
Tito's dad used to do to him.
There you go.
He come with the backhand, pop, wake him up.
Gotta stay focused on that.
Yeah.
But what were you gonna say about the girl
We'll
she was
break it
fighting?
down one time. When I saw the interview, I was seeing the caption about a possible opponent for Clarissa Shields. I said, "Oh my God, they are crossing over male and female." And this is no disrespect or anything.
Yeah.
I really thought that the fighter they were interviewing was a man.
Mm-hmm.
She was very, very, very masculine. The voice and everything.
Did you hear her voice?
No, I didn't hear it. You told me about it.
Very. Listen, she's a long woman. She got the haircut and everything. She didn't look feminine too much. Like I don't mean to be disrespectful or everything, but I really thought for a half second, me
When
being an
somebody
idiot, I'm like,
says,
they're
"I don't mean to
crossing
be
over.
disrespectful."
They're crossing over male to female
Nah,
fights.
bro,
You know.
like, I was confused because I see this lady and she's already big, and I'm like, okay, she won a heavyweight title. She came down, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is a big, strong girl. And then at the interview, I'm like, is that her really talking? Like, bro, man, she makes me sound like I'm going through puberty right now.
I gotta check
like her
this.
voice is so deep.
Yeah.
And they say she has a daughter, but you could have been adopted. I personally started trying to look
been
stuff up.
adopted.
It looks like her birth name is Alejandra. I don't know. I was really trying to figure this
Gotta
out.
dive into that.
But,
'Cause we do have the one fighter that's a tranny. Used to be.
Oh
a girl.
yeah. She took the
Brazilian,
hormone
isn't she?
replacement.
But that's MMA.
No, there's
this
one
is
in
boxing.
boxing.
This is
Yeah.
boxing.
Yeah.
Oh
She-
yeah. I know exactly what you're talking
Well-
about. Who did she fight? She fought somebody
Well,
significant.
Yeah, well,
Is it
to
he?
be technically correct. or
Wait.
whatever. But
It's
she
confusing.
But she's in a female league.
Before the transformation, she was an Olympian.
Right. She was there with Clarissa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm. I can't remember her name, but she had a fight, or he had a fight. I don't know how to be correct about this.
Yeah.
But he had a fight, not too long ago.
Yeah.
And beat some dude's ass.
Yeah, I mean, she took the whole on placement, got a full beer. I'm still
Listen,
patchy
man.
with my beer.
We gotta watch out who we catch ass beatings from. It don't matter now. Gender or no gender, we never know. We can get ass beatings from everywhere now.
Exactly. I mean, I've seen a lot of girls in the gym beating up dudes. So.
And Dario, we were also talking Mikey Garcia, Jesse Vargas. Any thoughts on that one?
From what I've seen for Jesse Vargas's last performances, I think maybe he might be falling off a little bit, just a bit, to where I think Mikey's a very focused. He comes from a very these focused fighters that come from family-oriented teams, the brothers, the father, everything. Floyd is an example, Roy Jones and all that stuff. If they're very focused, they're very, very hard to beat. The likes of like Danny Garcia, family-oriented teams in your corner, whether they're a management or a trainer or a training partner, those guys are very hard to beat. And I think that is it Danny Garcia we're talking about? Not Mikey. We're talking about Mikey Garcia. Yeah, that's what I mean. Okay, and then Mikey Garcia. He's just, I think he's going to be very, very focused, and I think he's going to brush off the loss he came off of, and I think he's probably going to take it. Maybe he'll take it as a win. I don't know. He was a very, very small guy against the boogeyman of 147, so he might take it as a kind of a win for his career, and he says, I'm going to step up and kind of continue to do what I was doing before the speed bump he had.
I like Mikey in that fight. I think he wins. He just has to look out for that right hand, but I don't like him at 47. The fight's at 47, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't like him at 47 at all, because if he gets back up on top, he's got more big guys to fight. I think he should go back down to 140.
Any thoughts, Marcus?
Nah, I wasn't even listening. I'm
There
sorry.
you go. All right, that's our sign off right there. That's our sign off right there.
I was on IG tagging stuff.
It's
I was
okay.
on IG tagging us, not a sign
We'll be
off.
more
Hold on.
consistent next
Ask
time.
me again. Ask me
Mikey
again.
Garcia, Jesse Vargas. Who do you favor, bro?
Oh man. What weight is this gonna be?
47.
I think 147.
I feel like Mikey needs to go back down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think 47 is his weight. Vargas is definitely, it is a good fight for a Mikey at 47. I think he'll win it, but I don't think he needs to stay at 47 too much longer than this. I think this is it and get out. I think Mikey wins, but it's gonna be a tough fight.
I agree.
But after this fight's over, move back down.
Great stuff. Appreciate y'all.
Good to go.